You can't.
You
I don't
say
think it'd be
here.
great if you saw my little brother in the background being like, that's exactly what he would do.
I mean, that's what my cats do. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, speaking of cats,
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
you just reminded me. No, this is big. This is big news
Clearly.
for just
It
me.
sounded it.
And nobody else is gonna care. But you don't understand. All right, so when I grew up, right, we had a couple of cats.
Yeah.
Sadly, we had to give away a few. But we had Bebop
Rocksteady.
and we had Jazz. And we had I don't want to say the other one was. I think it was just Jazz and Bebop. Yeah, we had two. We had a few others, but they got given away very early. We didn't give a chance to name them, and ended up Jazz we had to give away, so we kept Bebop. Astute listeners might know exactly what that's a reference to. Sue me, but Bebop ever since
Rocksteady, then it would have been Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It was Bebop as in Cowboy, I think.
yes. So I felt really bad because when I left for college and stuff, ever since I would come back to visit, Bebop would be like very upset with me. I never saw Bebop unless it was in the middle of the night while I slept on the couch in the living room and I happened to open my eyes and Bebop would be like, and just like run out of the room, right? But I never interacted with the cat ever since, I moved out because they used to get along with me. I remember when they were kittens, they used to be like, and they would climb up on top of me and it would hurt like hell. But it's a cat. So you're like, I love you, even though you're making me bleed. And it was awesome. And then I left and then I guess, they didn't get over that. And then Bebop hated me for the longest time until today, the day I left, to come back here, I was visiting my mom, and he comes down in the middle of the day and says hi, and comes up for scratches, and for back rubs and everything. And I was just like, oh my god, Bebop,
It's a
I love
breakthrough.
you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I
And then
got
you
to
left.
pet my cat, and then I left immediately.
You wouldn't want that to turn into like positive momentum in the
Oh
relationship.
yeah, right.
now.
We gotta yank that out. No,
Keep them guessing.
I was very happy because I hadn't been able to see Bebop in years. He'd always hide under the bed. I mean, like I've seen him, right? But it's not the same when he's hiding from you. You can't be like, yeah, I saw the cat when he's like, 3 feet under the bed, like, that's not really seeing the cat. And I didn't want to like pull him out either, Gotta let pets
Respect
have their
animals'
private
boundaries.
space. Yeah. That's a safe
Very
space,
nice.
is under my mom's bed, so.
Seeing these
Either way.
pictures of the minis Wash made is reminding me that we're all going to be in person in like 2 sessions.
I know.
Exciting.
Where?
Like our loading screens have pictures of the
Oh.
minis Wash made.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, oh yeah, in person D&D. That's how some people play the game.
Should I bring mine?
Yes.
Yeah, you should bring yours.
Yeah, we're gonna play.
I
in
guess that
person.
makes sense, yeah.
I
Even
get
if
to
we
buzz
don't
off
end
out
up
of
having like
retirement.
terrain, I'll use
Wait.
like a grid or something, like a whiteboard map or something. For
Yes, Cleo.
Do I have the Fox one, or do I just have the Tumnus one?
You
You should.
had the Fox one. If it's missing, that's on you.
I don't...
If it's missing, let me know so I can print another one.
It's probably best assumed.
It might be on the entertainment center.
No, I thought that was No, wait, that is.
It's in that
with the
little
wiggle
clear
digit.
case with the wiggle digit. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I do have that one.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm thinking of the one
Go
that
grab it
isn't
and
in a
prove
case.
it. I don't
Okay,
believe
fine.
you anymore.
Listen, it is... I can't see it in a second, but now I can see it.
The sound of a protesting Cleo diminishing into the west.
No, that's a fair question.
Like,
I lost a mug like
Staring at it.
2 years.
No, you can't make a liar out of me.
I was missing a mug for like 2 years, and a year since I haven't had my house for 2 years, but it feels like 2 years. Anyways,
Can you see me?
yeah.
yeah? Can you hear us saying yes?
It's not even on camera, is it?
No.
We can see your camera.
It was on the bookshelf behind me. Because it was on the entertainment center, and then I moved it to the bookshelf behind me.
We can see it.
Hey, there's that fox
There it
guy.
is. The real gem of this adventure that you just had, Cleo, is that while you were away, Trevor was like, I can sympathize. I lost a mug for 2 years. Well, it was 1 year, but it felt like 2 years. That's the story.
And
in the background, there's just a loud Cleo yelling noises.
Wait, was
And
that
then
the mug on my table?
Yeah. I asked Cleo.
You lost a mug sitting on a table?
It was
Yes.
a mug on my desk right here where my hand is. And it was behind the laptop I use for work. But it was also like a black and dark mug. I have a monitor that's black and dark. The table's black and dark. And so you just never saw it because it blended in. I never saw it. Trevor never saw it. It was just there from like one time I made tea and forgot about it and never found it again.
And I asked Cleo, I'm like, hey, if you see this mug, let me know. I know it's in this house somewhere, and I looked everywhere, and I don't usually look through Cleo's stuff. And then I think I was just cleaning or looking for something else, and then
Your
I'm like,
mom was cleaning, I think. Your
well, no,
mom
it was
came.
after she came.
Oh, after
Your
she
mom.
came. Okay.
And I was just like looking around, and then I finally saw it when I like actually came around to your desk area.
Yeah, that was it blended in. What can I say? But yes, I do have the Fox Mini and the Wingle Digit.
And scene.
Wow, and the music timing.
Yeah, the music ended and everything. That's good enough for me. Here's the bumper.
Sinir, Gontaeus, Kotix, Owara. Long ago, the four ancients created a world in harmony. Then, everything changed when the chat amped magic. Only Kelnor, master of good vibes, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. 2 years have passed, and four adventurers have discovered a conspiracy, a company selling magic. And although their roleplay is great, they have a lot of XP to earn before they're ready to save anyone. But I believe they can save the world.
Welcome back to the Wing Badger Tavern, where friends tell stories. I'm joined by some of my friends. Friends, introduce yourselves.
Hello, I am Jake, and I play Alan Woodrear, the Azamar Barbarian Artificer. And it is really cool with how far we've come, seeing how different we all look in the intro, because that's all footage from like when we first started the podcast. So it's a good throwback.
Hello, I'm Cleo, and back in that footage, my name was Matt. That's right, name change. Whoop whoop. Actually, I play a rogue, switching classes, bard. Actually, it's not a switch, it's a fusion, because it's multi-classing. Rogue bard, changeling, changing it up on ya. I don't know where I'm going with this bit. Down to wash.
Hey, I'm Wash. I play Jeb.
How concise of you, Wash. I am Trevor. I play Zothkug, the Orc Cleric, and taking an appropriate amount of time in the intro, unlike Cleo and Wash here. Over to you, Josh.
Thanks for those kind words, Trevor. Over to the weather. Just kidding. I'm Josh. I'm the Wing Badger Game Master, and I play everybody else. Without further ado, let's get back into tonight's Dungeons and Dragons adventure. And that means that we join our four heroes, Alan Woodrear, Fox, Jeb, Zoth. Y'all are walking through some caves. It's been a day. At the morning of this day, you packed up camp in a cave at the mouth of this little network of caves, and you began delving deep into some caves in the northern Kavorre Mountains. Your goal is the lair of Kavorre, ancient golden dragon, and you've encountered some other creatures along the way, creatures that have maybe been driven from their homes and other places in the mountains by the sort of circumstances of the world, shall we say. It's now, approaching probably mid-afternoon. As far as I know, you didn't stop to eat lunch or anything. So it's probably been, it's been some time, shall we say, and your most recent challenge, getting past a manticore, which, you were able to get through when Jeb was able to kind of, appeal to the pride of the creature, shall we say. Got you through this manticore's temporary domain, as he was clear to. This is temporary. This is not his long term. This is not his glade. This is the cave he's in right now. Dress for the job you want, right?
Starter house.
How is everyone doing? What kind of condition do we see our adventuring heroes in at this moment in time?
Owlin is very relieved, kind of wiping the sweat off the brow, being like, whew, okay. Can't believe that last little bit of, and we need everyone to come through unscathed tomorrow too. Very glad that worked, and knew that he was pushing the whole party's luck with that one. But yeah, so he's just kind of wiping the sweat off and being like, all right, well, with that out of the way, hopefully whatever's next before we reach Kavorre is maybe a little bit easier.
Zoth is happy that we didn't have to fight the ogres or the manticore, and was able to essentially make allies and friends to help us along the way.
Fox is, taking a snack.
Just the dessert of the rations.
Yeah, eating the desserts out of his rations. And kind of just, at this point, he's done it time and time again, talked his way through things he really shouldn't be talking his way through, and just happy that this time it worked out again. Because every time, you're always on the edge of it not working, and somehow this one got really close to not working. But here we go, and he just hopes that his luck continues to run for at least up to this dragon.
Jeb's eating too. He's eating some of that land shark meat that the ogres gave us back before the manticore. It's kind of like a little land shark jerky. It's a little gamey. It's a little tough. And he's just like, this might be my last meal. Like, have you ever thought about that, Fox? Like this, I don't know if I want to go out eating land shark meat. I think out of all of the times, you've probably got the right idea of eating dessert first this time.
Fox pauses for a second. He's like, yeah, exactly. I mean, you nailed it right on the head. Why do you think I always eat the dessert?
Oh, is that actually why? I thought you were just had a sweet tooth or something, or that you just didn't eat your peas.
Jed, he does, man.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna be honest. Ever since, we went on this journey, I'd say ever since Tumbleweb, I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. All right, I don't know if tomorrow Aboleth is gonna come out of the pipes and enslave us. I don't know who's gonna die and who's gonna live. And I quite frankly, I'm tired of fretting about it, and this is my small way of just, what? If my teeth rot out of my head, it's going to be long after whatever's going on here.
So. I mean, you have a point in a way. I mean, both Jeb and Zoth, we had times where we all thought that you had taken your last meal. And it's kind of a miracle that we're all here now. So if there's one thing I'm kind of surprised to say, it's that I think we should all eat the dessert first out of our rations tonight, honestly.
I think my first meal was a burrito.
Hey, we don't know what's around the next bend, all right? And Fox puts a hand up for a second. So I'll pause for a second, and you know what? Let's take a little bit of dessert right now.
I'll eat to that, and Jeb dunks his jerky essentially in Fox's yogurt.
Yeah, what did the desserts look like in these rations? I always assumed they were some fantasy variation of a Twinkie.
See, obviously, Fox has got some yogurt, not the healthy kind, the kind that you sprinkle Oreo
with
crumbs
the candy
on.
in the lid.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably the quality of your desserts has also gone way up since bringing Clara on board. the tugboat.
Oh yeah. So
She puts like the little chocolate chips in with the granola for the yogurts. It's nice.
Right here.
Well, Clara's on the ship.
No, I meant sorry. Is Willa in the chat?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah, I think Alan may have like requested like a chocolate cupcake kind of thing, like like a little Debbie Hostess cake.
Fox is just like, hey, can you I'll let you dip in the yogurt. Just let me have a chunk of that.
All right, and Alan will dip in the yogurt and also.
I'm forming a headcanon that Alan's like way happier with the like overly processed desserts because of his time like, on the campaign trail as a soldier.
Yeah,
like his standards
he's used
were
to
lowered
MREs.
by the MRE.
Yeah.
And so now he's like, yeah, give me that hostess. You know, like
Yes.
Alan's
Exactly.
that guy who buys like gas station off-brand donut holes. You know.
And he's like, they're way better than the fresh stuff. I don't know why you guys prefer that.
Yeah, the staleness actually makes them better texture. Like.
So I'll probably
Maybe.
requested like either a like chocolate bar or like the fantasy equivalent of like M&Ms.
W's and W's.
Chocolate covered W's. Walnuts.
Jeb ended up getting one of the rations that just didn't have dessert. That's why he dunked in Fox's.
Chef just took the jerky and dipped it in Fox's
Yeah.
dessert. That's so
I don't know
funny.
why you didn't pack up on ration. I know you're eating the land shark meat because you're
I just
a little
grabbed the
low.
one off the top of the pile.
Yeah,
That's your first mistake because the top of the pile is where Fox is going to steal the desserts first.
Well, I mean, I
Hey,
figured if I took from the
that's
bottom,
not-
that would be kind of insulting to my height. And so I was like, hey, I'll be impressive and take it off of the top of the stack like all the tall folk. And here I am, well, no
I
dessert
don't always take the dessert out of the top.
except
I
for when
just
you do.
it immediately after it's placed there.
Oh,
Jeb is so much smaller than everybody that he's like weight conscious with his rations, and so he doesn't bring the desserts because it
Yeah.
makes him lighter, so he can carry more rations.
I
want
dedicate
some
a spell
chocolate?
slot exclusively to it.
It sounds like you're all taking a short rest together. Is that accurate? We're basically just
I
kind of
like
chilling
that.
here.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
The caves are not
Out of-
homey, but with the bioluminescent green glow of the kind of weird fauna that's able to live in here, and with the you're now deep enough into the cave network that the air is kind of stagnant and warm, which is sort of it smells a little bad. It's a little damp, but it also means it's a little cozy and warm. It feels a little homey even. And as you all sit there and eat your rations, you find that with no dangers, no health issues, no particular, struggles eating the rations or chewing or swallowing or anything like that, you are able to have this conversation, and when you are ready to continue moving, you do so. If there's more to talk about, let's do it, and otherwise I will push forward.
So what do you guys think is going on with like this? What was it, like the chasm, the crevice? What was Manticore mentioned something about the thing ahead?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Jeb. I don't
I think
remember.
I think we just tackle everything like we usually do, one
Falling
step at a
into it.
time. Yeah.
That's what I do. What he just said. Sorry, I had trouble swallowing my rations there.
One mile fall at a time, and eventually you'll end up at the edge of the world.
You know what? I
That would
actually
be
like
that would be a good fall. Could you imagine just straight off the edge of the world?
I don't think there'd be a bigger fall.
Does the world
And
have
you don't
an
have
edge?
to worry about falling off and hitting something, because what else is there? The world's behind you.
I mean, you're the one that said it, not me. I don't know. I'm just imagining.
Just a figure of speech, I suppose.
You would need to pack enough rations to survive falling off of the anyway.
Yeah.
Of course,
How
you
long
would ruin it by overthinking. Yeah,
How long
Yeah.
would you fall for if you fell off the edge of the world?
I think,
I mean,
hypothetically, an infinite amount of time.
I can fly, so it's as long as I want to.
all right, guys. Listen, can we just stick to the poetic? Like, oh, it's nice to fall off the edge of the world with the world behind us and nothing in front of us. and it's all poetic and not overthink about how much food would I need for infinity? How fall would you
infinite.
fall?
Well,
That's the difference between some of us and the rest. And like it's like we all think of it in different ways. You may think of it in a way that sounds kind of like song lyrics, like the first beginning of the sentence that you said sounded very poetic. I agree.
I'm just,
But I just
some
can't
of us
help
are right,
myself.
Some of us are wrong.
That sounds like something I would say. I'm trying to be empathetic towards you.
I'm right. I'm sorry, Alan. I don't
It's
know.
okay. I just
I think
it's
Fox
good to
would
distract a
measure
little
it in pudding cups.
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, how many pudding cups would you fall? How many pudding cups do you
Yeah.
need to fall? How many pudding cups?
I mean,
Infinite.
if it was a really good pudding cup, I'd fall for it instantly.
How many
But that's
cups
the
would a
difference.
wooden cup if a wooden cup could cup pudding?
What?
These are the questions that keep me up.
These
at night.
are really important. I think we need to dedicate time to work the math out on this one. You know what? I've changed my mind. Screw the poeticness. We need to figure out how long it takes for somebody to eat a pudding cup while falling, and then measure that as a form of distance, and then determine how many pudding cups are in an infinity.
I mean, I'm fine with shins. Just saying.
I
I actually think that this form of measurement has potential in like a sort of I don't know, a
It's
sort
like a
of
thought experiment, right?
a thought experiment or
What's your measure? Measure up? No, that's not. No.
And
And you
hello?
hear skittering feet run off down the tunnel around the bend from where you're all sitting.
Come back. We need to talk about pudding measuring.
I think that's our cue
Your voice
to
echoes,
moving.
reverberates down the length of the cavern in both directions. You hear a lion-sized sigh from back in the direction of the manticore.
My mind kind of comes back to me. I'm like, I just yelled that. All right, let's continue forward.
You're supposed to be sneaky, Fox.
Yeah, the whole talk of pudding and desserts and dying either today or tomorrow really just got me not thinking about our current surroundings until just now. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll perception.
Yeah, I'd like to check my pack to make sure that I'm like not missing anything.
Okay.
You're missing all the dessert from your rations.
Oh, I shouldn't have seen that coming.
Jeb, do you want to help me with?
Hold on, I'm looking through my bag.
All right. Well, all right. I'll look out first, real quick. I guess.
Roll
I
a disadvantage because you don't have dark vision.
It don't matter.
I cast
Because-
dark vision on Fox. Here, I'm gonna be a minute. Poof, you can see.
Whoa!
Roll a normal vantage.
I've never
Roll
seen
it
this much.
vantage.
Roll with advantage.
It wouldn't have mattered anyway because I rolled the same thing. Just so happens
Glad I
rolled
burned a spell on that.
24. I was trying to say it, but then I was like, no, that would be unfair to tell you before you intervened.
I mean, he wasn't looking at you.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh yeah, and just shot over the shoulder.
You detect nothing. You think perhaps there might have been some scampering footsteps to hear, but the residual echo of you yelling, "We need to measure these pudding cups," probably masked them.
Wow.
Jeb, nothing is missing from your pack except the desserts that we all knew were missing because Fox ate them, probably.
That's to be expected.
Allegedly. You know what? That's a good idea. Fox is going to check his own bag, make sure nothing's missing.
Yeah, mine's all in order.
I don't know why, but now you got me paranoid. Why are you checking your bag? Is this something
you're
I should
always
know
right.
about?
We just heard a thing skitter by, and it's like if it just skittered by, it could have been here without us hearing it. That's
All right. That's fair, I guess. And Fox is quickly checking his bag for his weapons and other assorted goods.
Fox, who doesn't know what's in his bag normally, doesn't
Hey.
think that anything is missing.
I am a blitz, so happy you know.
Fox pulls
You're
out.
not allowed to be mad at that at all.
Fox pulls out the handwritten manifest Clara made him write after the last time he left the gunboat and checks against his written list.
This list has always existed. I may have just never updated it or updated it whenever I felt like it, which was very infrequently. I'll have you know I've updated it recently.
Are you yelling
The
that?
Fox's
No
thought
one.
process being,
Yeah.
I'm closer to death maybe now, so I might as well know a little bit of what I have.
How to adventuring 101.
Yeah.
There
It's
is
just
a list of things that I think I should have, but then I realized I don't think I have. That's a separate list. We don't talk about
Okay.
that list.
That's the shopping list. That's for next time you see Duffin.
There you go.
Carrots, new sword.
More dessert.
Alan is going to.
I don't know.
Any item that talks.
Alan is going to rack his brain and see if he can roll nature to see if he can think of any sort of creature that he's ever read about or heard about that, like, I don't know, matches the description of skittering away with like a weird squeaky voice and like messing with
nothing.
passersby.
You
I got nothing. Even if I
Okay.
roll nature.
Yep.
Okay.
You got
I'm
nothing.
gonna
What if it's what if
talk
it's
to the
Boogan?
broom and be like, "Hey,
Yeah, what's up?
you didn't really say much during that whole Sphinx encounter.
You seem like
I know
you
you.
had it.
You keep to yourself. Yeah, I figured. Of course we had it. I mean, come on. We found you. If we found you, we can do anything.
I don't know what you mean by that. I'm just a broom. I was leaning on a wall.
Yeah, but you were in a really hard spot to get for most people.
I mean, I suppose compared to like the rest of the world, maybe, but like in the Citadel, like, I was just leaning on a wall, man.
Okay, fair enough. But listen, all right. Can you detect people around you? Because you got to be able to have senses of some sort in order to communicate with people, right? You weren't just screaming at the top of your lungs the entire time you were in the Citadel.
That's a fascinating question that you've asked. Existential, possibly. I don't know how I do it, man. I just have always known. I don't know how it works. Don't question the system.
But you know there are people around you. I'm questioning the system. There must be some sort of, I don't know, radius you can throw out that you detect sentient minds.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. I'm just kidding. You know
what? I'll let you sit on it.
I've never
Maybe.
Well, I think that's just it. I think sitting on it is how it works. It's not like all the time, but it's like when I was leaning. It's like, because I'm a very finely crafted cleaning machine, and so I can sense the dirt and the specks on the ground, and I think I can maybe sense other
Mr.
things on
Broom?
the ground too.
It's okay. Just if you want to think about it for like, I don't know, the equivalent of, and maybe in some alternate universe, 3 to 12 hours. Maybe after that, you might come up with a better solution.
I think the solution I came up with is pretty cool.
I mean, that is actually pretty cool. Wait, so did you detect anything?
Just a little while ago, you mean? I suppose
Yes.
canonically, I did.
Oh, what did you detect if it wasn't us?
Now that you mention it, I recall detecting a little bit of something. I didn't think it was noteworthy at the time. You were talking about desserts.
Well, I mean, you don't talk to us normally unless I talk to you. So I
I now understand. I can't sense very far away, right? I can only see. I can only sense.
Sure, within a
maybe 60 shins away, something like that.
Sure.
Whatever a shin is, I'm a broom.
But if you had to put a measurement to it,
If I had to put a measurement to it, I'd estimate based on. Well, hang on. Hold me up to one of your shins.
okay. I pick up the broom and hold it up, and I'm assuming it's like normal broom size.
Yeah.
So it's probably like about shoulder height to me.
Okay.
Is Fox doing this all in his head?
Yeah, 100%. You're seeing me like hold the broom, twist it, hold it further
Did
away.
we not have a telepathic link left over from the
Oh,
previous
the broom
adventure?
could talk to you. I just don't know if the broom's included in this telepathic link. I don't know how that
true.
works.
No, the link is
Link only
expired.
worked up to 8 creatures anyway, and you had 4 ogres and 4 of you. So
It's also
the broom is
probably
not.
been past an hour.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold it up from like my heel to shoulder. I'm like, and then I bend my knee. I'm like, this is a shin. I don't know if you can you perceive.
Yeah. Okay. So I think based on that, I'd guess like 60 of those. In like a big circle around me, so like 30 to any one side.
Oh, so you mean 60 in diameter? That's the word you're looking. Right, Alan? Diameter? I say that out loud.
Yes. A diameter is 2 radii.
What's a radius?
I guess that
2
doesn't.
radius.
I could have just said
diameter.
I could have just said, right, Alan, diameter, and you would have just said that, and you wouldn't know what I was talking about. Sorry, I'm talking to the broom, and I'm talking about, I just realized that he might have the ability to sense things because he figured out when I was near him in order to reach out to me to talk to me when I first found him. So I thought I might use him to perceive things around us.
Yes, that's quite ingenious, actually.
And evidently he says 60 shins. I was trying to determine diameter or radii.
Well, it appears by what the question that you
And
asked.
did you say 2 radius?
Well, it's radii is the plural.
Radii.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, you're right. That is. Okay, sorry. I thought circumference for a second.
Mathematics is not my specialty, but it is something I am knowledgeable of somewhat.
I'm very knowledgeable about the volume of a coin.
This is giving me flashbacks to when we very first met each other. Do you remember this when Zothkug and I would just have these like circular conversations?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh, I get it because
They were quite entertaining and interesting. But it is just kind of funny that it seems as though while we're possibly about to come to the end of our lives and our quests, we seem interested subconsciously in prolonging our time just sitting here talking to each other before we face certain doom.
Wow, that's actually really deep if you think about it.
It kind of is. I didn't expect that to come out.
Are you suggesting that, like, subconsciously, right? That's the word, that we're delaying moving forward to avoid the potential fate that we all have?
I think that may be so. But also in this conversation, we are delaying you telling us what the broom sensed skittering past us.
Yes, sorry. We were trying to determine the range at which the broom can sense things. And so I held him up to me to determine, because somehow he's able to sense distance with no like eyes or anything. I'm assuming through some sort of like magical detection, he can like detect, life forms and other things and their volume. But we're trying to determine his range. And I think he said 60 shins, but in diameter. So like 30 shins radii.
Okay. It'd be 30 shin radius.
It'd be a 30 shin radius, correct.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting them confused.
That's okay.
But now you got me thinking like about those whole fate and all that. Do you believe in fate?
Oh, I don't know. That's quite a topic to get into. What did the broom sense skittered past us?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mr. Broom. What did you sense within your 30 shins radius?
I don't know. Are you gonna let me answer you this time?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Last
I
time
won't interrupt you.
Answer. I thought it was gonna be part of the group, and then you were like, "Oh, he's just a broom. Let's just talk over him. He's just a broom. What is he?
No, I would never. I'm so sorry. You gotta tell me when I don't mean to do that to you. You're not just a broom.
Tell you. You were talking over me.
I'm sorry. Well, hey, tell all of us so that way they know it's coming from you. And you know what? You did this. This is your W.
Okay. I think there were some footsteps around the corner.
Broom, did you detect any more details than that?
I think that there were it seemed like just one pair of feet.
Okay, so how do you?
Well. It looks like Fox is having a pony moment.
All right,
guys, I think we should just
hey,
go
Broom,
investigate ourselves.
I agree. This is quite a development
No,
for you, Zoth, to want to be the one that just goes and does the action. I appreciate it.
I do need to check one thing just real quick, Mr. Broom. Do you have a name? I always refer to you as the Broom.
Last time you asked, I told you nobody ever named me. You were like, "Oh, we'll come up with a name for you," and you didn't.
Oh, okay, guys, can we come up with a name for the Broom? This is important.
This poor broom's gonna be a mop pretty soon.
What about Bruce?
Bruce the
What
Broom.
about
I do like
Broom
that.
Springsteen?
Oh, that's quite interesting.
Broom spring.
Broom Night.
How we could just call him
Broom
Broomstein for short? Broomstein.
Broomstein.
Broomstein?
I like
What do you think of that, Broom? Sorry, Broomstein. What do you think of that?
I like that. I like the sound of that.
Okay, Broomstein it is.
Although it is kind of ironic thinking about that'd be like naming myself Azamarstein.
So, so Broomstein, how would you like?
I am
would you consider
Moljab.
yourself pretty adept at listening to your surroundings? I'm gonna roll insight to determine.
Sure. I'm trying to figure out how to roleplay a broom. I guess I just need to be tall.
You've been role playing the broom really well. It's just now the broom is getting asked very specific
Very
questions
detailed
about how
questions.
it operates.
But the Broom probably doesn't know.
I'm
Be
sorry.
more bristly.
I think these are important informations. I
We're
rolled.
stalling for too much time right now.
Okay, I know. But I just wanted to know, I rolled a non-nat 20 to know roughly a modifier of its perception. Like, based off of whatever it's about to tell me.
As a broom, it probably has a perception of +0.
Okay. So I should not rely upon it to perceive.
I mean, it definitely is not like it's not scoping out corners, you know. It's not seeing off into the night.
All right.
In its range of 60 shin diameter, it can probably do tremor sense when asked.
I do see the chat. All right, Mr. Broomstein. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know. Mr. Broomstein is your father, so I'll just call you Broomstein.
I think he would be Mr. Treestein, technically.
Anyway, I'm going to walk forward here with the rest of our party, and I'm going to just ask you, can you just keep an ear out?
Yeah, you're gonna have to make sure I'm touching the ground though. Like, can you? Just,
Okay,
like, kinda
I'll
as
sweep you.
go?
Yeah, I'll sweep as I go.
Thanks.
And yeah, I proceed to sweep, and I rolled a 24 perception,
Okay,
and we're just gonna sweep as we go.
great.
And we will. I mean, at least Alan will follow behind.
Yep.
The broom does the most
I will-
average job of percepting that it could possibly do with a 10 on the die and a +0 modifier. The broom is there. Okay. Are you in front? Like, are you in front then, Fox? Kind of leading the group?
Yeah, and I have dark vision cast upon me.
Great. You navigate around the bend. You do not see a creature. However, you can see little footprints in the rock dust of the tunnel running off away from you. You can tell that they're humanoid footprints. Like, there's enough dust this deep in the cave that you can see, like, the bare feet, you know, the little toes and everything. So you're like,
Right.
oh, that's a humanoid.
I accidentally like sweep half of them before I notice them, and then I'm like, wait, whoa, Alan,
Yes.
do you recognize this? I don't think they look very. They don't look human, right?
I mean, the
They're
thing about
humanoid.
Alan is like
Humanoid.
Alan has
Right.
a lot of head knowledge about stuff, but he's not like a tracker. So he could roll like nature to see if he could
Survival.
figure or survival.
I'll
Dang,
roll
That's
survival as
not
well,
quite as good, but
just to see if I've run into anything in my travels before that might have this kind of feat.
oh, Alan nat 20 to survival, so suddenly he is a tracker.
I did not, so I'm like, those are feet.
Some are born trackers and some have it thrust upon them. Alan recognizes that the feet are distinctly humanoid and sort of human.
Okay.
They almost have like a decrepit like shape to them, almost like they're in a state of decay. Like the creature has aged so far that it's shrinking and its bones are withering and it's kind of a frail gait. Or
Does
perhaps it's sick. It could be a sickly creature that's in that same kind of situation. But it may be human. It's a little smaller than a human's foot because of the way that it's kind of shrinking or decaying a bit.
Does the perceived gait remind him at all of the what's the name? Wingle digits are made out of it. Now I'm suddenly
Sacrium?
blanking of like the Sacrium addicts that they ran into at the very beginning.
No, it doesn't.
They were kind of ghoulish.
Yeah, the gait is straight though. It's not like it's high or drugged. Like it's not leaning or shuffling. It's a normal, at least in that regard. It's a normal coordinated.
It's like a straight gait, but
straight
is it
2024
straight gait?
Straight is the gate, and few that find this creature.
But is it like, are the feet like turned inward a little bit, or
yeah,
is it
like a little bit of an inward turn, and maybe you might even be able to detect with a nat 20. The creature's a little bit hunched. Its weight displacement in the footprints, it indicates that it's a little hunched over.
It appears to be probably an older creature, perhaps sickly, and small.
You determine that from
humanoid.
just the footprints?
Suddenly, I feel much more confident in interpreting these footprints than I kind of have ever before. I just feel strongly about it. But yes, that's what the prince.
All I got was that it was like a humanoid shape. Because he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes, and it's got a heel. And I think that's an arch.
Yes, I mean you are correct. But yeah, that's what I've seemed. I feel pretty confident about what I've observed.
I still got a lot.
It's different than what I expected. I expected it to maybe be like a Sacrium addict, like we encountered, years ago.
Like you said, it kind of goes straight. So I mean, doesn't look intoxicated in any way, or
yeah. Well, let's just follow and see what
I
we
keep
find.
sweeping, and I sweep up the tracks as we go.
You sweep up the tracks as you go. It's another mile or so of walking, and you can follow the footprints the whole way before the broom and Fox, in different ways but simultaneously, detect that something is ahead. The pathway that you're in, or the little tunnel, is beginning to widen a little bit, giving the impression that you're coming towards a naturally occurring cavern of some kind, or a little wider space. Cavern implies it's gigantic. This doesn't necessarily look like it'll be huge. It's just widening into a wider space, maybe a room size. And you, the broom senses that there is stuff on the ground besides dust. It doesn't know exactly what those things are. They're not moving, but it gives you an indication that there are 2 smaller things on the ground, and then there's a couple of long things laying on the ground. Fox, you hear the crackle of a fire, very, very small fire. In fact, crackle is too strong of a word. You hear the occasional kind of whoosh sound that, a fire that's burned really low gets. And you can also start to smell like a little bit of smoke, smoky, burny kind of smell in the air.
Is it wood burny?
No, it smells like burning hair.
Yeah. Oh, guys, do you smell that?
Jeb checks his fur. It's not me.
It's none of you.
I say Alan checks his long mane of blonde hair. It's just not me either.
I don't think it's me.
All right. I'm like, I signal for a group huddle real quick, and I touch
I
everybody.
just stand in the middle.
All right, guys. Do we deep breaths? Do we just assume that we can talk our way through this next part, or do we think we're going to get ambushed the second we're found?
I think talking is always our first move.
I know you.
I agree in this case. I actually agree in this case, especially since the thing had whoever this is had a chance to ambush us previously and simply chose to either. I don't know if it was a taunt or a greeting or what, but
Okay,
Chose to
so
speak instead.
What do you think,
I
Jeb?
think it's insane. I like the things that it was saying was just like jabbery repeats of our words.
but
You know?
we might be able to negotiate with insane.
Well, I meant from like a do we attack it or do we talk to it? I mean, I don't. If it didn't do anything and it was just like mindlessly babbling what we were saying, I don't think it's probably much of a threat.
All right. So, in the count of 3, then I'm going to announce ourselves. Does that sound fair?
That is
Just-
fair to me.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's a little weird that you would just say 3, 2, 1. Hey, I'm
Mhm.
Fox.
1. Hey, we have 4 people here coming within this cavern, and we
And
don't
a
want to
broom.
intrude.
The voice kind of echoes back up the tunnel towards you. It's just out of sight or around a bend or something. What new
Was it
manner of
saying-
misfortune is this?
I just want to announce ourselves. Is this your home?
Even the caves seek to expel me. Maisel is welcome nowhere.
No. We're not here to expel you.
Driven from my home by the cruel priestess. Forced
Hey,
into
hey.
servitude by the lion.
No,
Cast
hey,
aside when he was expelled from his domain. Will nowhere be sufficient for me to suffer.
do you want to talk about it?
I think he is, man.
We can listen. Hey, let's just you want some food?
The strange
We don't
voice
have dessert,
offers Maisel
though.
food. Strange voices have offered Maisel things before. Maisel does not trust it.
Hey, okay, that's fine. You don't have to take directly from us. Is it okay if we approach the fire and we can leave a gift?
The voice promises gifts. The last voice that promised gifts was a liar.
Hey, okay. There are some people out in the world that are liars and some people who aren't. And the only way to know is to find out. And, I'm going to say it's worth giving us trust, but I know that means nothing. So if you'll, at the very least, just let me put something by the fire and we can be on our way. We can leave. We won't have to interact with you. And it'll be okay. I'm going to roll persuasion.
Sure, roll persuasion.
Fell off the table, rolling it again. All right. I just want everybody to know I'm scared now. I'm scared because I've rolled the same exact thing 4 times in a row.
Hmm.
That's statistically unlikely.
It's very unlikely. So I'm a little scared that it's next time I roll, it's gonna be the worst roll I've ever had. But I've rolled 19 on the die 4 times. With persuasion, we're looking at 15 plus 19.
34.
We're looking at a 34.
The voice
Wow.
wishes to visit Maisel's fire. Fine. Fine, Maisel will allow it.
All right, everybody, let's take slow and deliberate steps towards the fire.
As you step around the corner into a small room of cave, you see a tiny, decrepit-looking little creature, a gaunt creature, almost a baboon-like, with it's kind of crouching and it has stringy, patchy hair, and it has a tiny little dagger clutched in one hand, almost like a box knife size, like a utility knife type thing, worn and rusted and corroded, clearly found in in the gutter of a city or the bottom of a river or something like that. And at its feet, there's a small bed of coals, and the creature has been shaving hair off of its arm to keep the fire going. To try and keep the coals lit, and that is why it smells like burning hair. The skin is very, very pale and kind of droopy, and it just seems very half present in the room with you. Its eyes keep darting around, and it.
Hey. It's okay.
As soon as you say that and you try and make eye contact, it makes the briefest eye contact with you and then skitters back along the wall. The creature is addressing Maisel.
I make a very distinct, and I kind of glance at my compatriots here and all right, let's not make direct eye contact. And I look back and I look to the left of this creature, and I make sure never to make direct eye contact. I'm like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Here, I was just having this, and I take a little bite of it to show that I have been eating it and that I trust it as food. And it's the last bit of my yogurt. I'm like, here's a little yogurt. It's a little sweet. I'm not sure if you're okay with sweet, but it's kind of like sugar and a little bit of cream. And I lay it down by the fire, and I back away.
Maisel creeps forward on all fours, kind of weathered, skinned knuckles, reaches forward and grabs the little treat you left and spits out the rest of it. Too sweet.
Too sweet. That's okay.
Guys, do we have any land shark meat?
Yeah, Jeb, do you have some of that land shark meat left over? I know there's enough for the 4 of us. I know you couldn't have eaten all of it.
I ate everything that I had.
All right, I think you gave me a chunk of it, and I don't think I've eaten that yet, because, well, to be honest, I ate the desserts first. But this is probably going to be the opposite end. So please tell me, just take a tiny bit of it. It may not taste nowhere near as good. And I hand it by the fire. Is that okay?
Scarfs it down.
Oh, okay. Here's the rest of my portion. You can have it.
I say Alan grabs a bunch of it out of his pockets as well, just like, well, someone's going to enjoy it a lot better than I will.
It takes the pile and starts to hoard it against the back wall, and it just sits there and nibbles and eats. And the voices give food for eating for Maisel.
I reach to the broom in my mind. I'm like, hey, can you pass this message along to the others? So that way we're not talking out loud. I'm kind of wary that anything we say, this thing could take the wrong way.
Okay.
Ask the others, do they think that they I don't know if they recognize this condition, if they even know what this might even look like originally? I have no idea. So I guess pass that to Alan, Zoth, and Jeb.
Yeah. One at a time, each of you hears the broom in your head asking that question. As it's asking that, if you want, you can roll a skill and justify it to me. As this is happening and there's kind of a quiet mental processing and the creature is eating and whatever, in between bites, it begins muttering some more and it says, meat like this, like the overworld. Haven't been to overworld since the mean lady forced me away.
Hey,
Can I roll medicine?
Sure, you can roll medicine.
Is it okay if we sit by the fire for a bit? It's a little cold in the cave. And
Want to sit?
22.
Sit. Yes. Sit. Yes.
Okay.
22. This creature's condition is both magical and non-magical. You have heard of conditions like this, but not. It's not something that gets diagnosed. It's a state of being. It's almost like this creature has been. The circumstances were forced upon it. Let's say it that way. As that's happening, there is a sort of swift collection of dust that begins rolling through the room with you as some warm wind kind of kicks up from lower in the caves and kind of blows through the room, stirs up a bunch of dust, kind of fills the room with a little bit of a haziness. Oh, it is the curse. Perhaps they are here to continue Maisel's suffering.
Whoa. Hey, Maisel. Is that your name? Can I call you Maisel?
Yeah, Maisel is my name.
What's
Maisel.
What's this curse you're talking about, Maisel?
Maisel born with job. Did not do it. Silly queen, unhappy. Maisel sent away.
Okay.
Maisel suffering. Maisel leave to find better place. Maisel not find better place. Maisel find this place. Maisel find city people.
community to be near. Observe.
I understand housing prices aren't great right
then-
now, and losing your job can hurt a lot.
But then place fall, big dust,
Oh,
and collect from the stones, whispers and chanting, splish, splash, splish, splash, bow to the dead fish, splish, splash, circles, symbols, holes in the ground, whispers, chanting, terrible
I
sound,
look at Alan
dust,
and I
Dust.
use the broom.
dark dust, fish gone, hole in the ground, hole in the ground, suddenly silence, whips in the hole, teeth in the hole, fish in the hole.
Do you get this, Alan? I'm saying this through the broom.
Boy, the voices in Maisel's mind. Voices in my mind. Argument with new voice. Voices say flee, but Maisel is curious. New voice making promises. Promises. Says all is ready for just in case. Protect this place. New voice promises rewards, but Maisel scorns rewards. Maisel knows fate is sea, lead craft and seaweed at the bottom of the salt lake, and I salt, sea, salt, fresh water drinker. Flee from the lyre into the wilderness, stones, bones, rain. Flee from the slaver who lies in my brain, for I am. Maisel is already enslaved. Into the caves.
Josh.
Into the caves. Supper alone in the dark. Even here, where I thought she couldn't see me, he looks up at the dust swirling through the room. Even here, where Maisel thought she couldn't see me, the Sealy Queen's shadow fell over my heart. And then it kind of creeps back into the corner and crouches, and it's like it clearly thinks the swirling dust is an omen of some kind.
I through the broom, I'm like, guys, is this thing knows that it's potentially enslaved by the aboleth? Is that what I just interpreted?
I am not sure. It seems as though, if I'm interpreting correctly, it had an encounter with some sort of. It used to work for some sort of queen that
Right.
cursed it after it failed to do something, but then since then it has had some close encounters with at least one aboleth. Definitely the one that you all killed in Stainless, and witnessed that tower falling, and perhaps has seen the aftermath of that, and then I believe, if I'm interpreting correctly, has either been enslaved or attempted to be enslaved by an aboleth and asked to maybe guard this cavern.
Honestly, I thought maybe it was talking about the library. I don't know how old this creature is. The library wasn't that long ago, though.
That's true. I'm not, but I guess the fact of it being old, and if Alan rolls history, can he recall some sort of queen that this creature might be referring to? Can he try?
What does it claim?
Alan can roll history, but the DC will be
Okay.
difficult. This is not like you don't have a lot to go off of here.
Sure.
Can we hear reports? Wasn't the
DM.
army that came out of the sewers led by a woman?
Alan did not roll nearly enough.
Okay.
DM.
Yeah, what's up?
Don't we have a book of planar travel
You
that
have
could
the
aid in this?
you have the Plane Caller's Index, which is a thing from the Citadel of the Exalted Ring.
Right.
And it has information about all of the planes, but its primary use is as a focus for someone who is using the apparatus built by the Order to shift between planes. So there's a little bit of information about each.
So
one,
it's
but
more
mostly
like
it's
planar
a-
travel, but not
Yeah.
necessarily planar culture or anything
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. It's not like a historical thing. It's like a navigational aid.
Maisel, what fell?
Fell. Shadowfell, not the Shadowfell. Maisel not return to Shadowfell. Maisel escape. Shadowfell. Find city tall, city crown, top of city.
Was the crown?
Skittering ants and crows and people. emerge from beneath.
Was the crown a tower?
Tower? Maybe.
Big, tall obelisk.
Yes. Tall, with lights,
Fish.
sound, and fall, crack, stones, rubble, skittering, ants, hive,
And-
group, robes emerge. They find the
Robes
body of a dead
emerge from-
fish. Splish splash,
from under.
acid bath and black sparks.
Okay.
Whispers and
Hazel.
whispers and chanting. Bow to the dead fish. Splish splash, acid bath, circles and sparks, circles and symbols, holes in the ground. Holes in the ground. Whispers and chanting.
Maisel, I'm gonna add to the fire now.
Terrible
Okay.
sound.
And I'm gonna take a bit of my kindling kit and use it to fuel the fire for a little longer.
Okay. Yeah, the fire is
Just-
coals that have never been lit, right? Like Maisel is trying to light them with its armor.
Right.
So just by properly kindling the fire, the coals are able to be lit. And, like you just do the things that start a fire. And so then there are coals and the coals are lit and the fire will last for a bit.
All right. When you say that, I just imagine like I was like, pull out kindling kit, and you're just like, you do the things to start the fire. I just like whoa, and like fire just like slowly.
You pull out your
warms.
kindling kit, it just says kerosene on the side.
Yeah.
I
It's all
I
right.
believe you're correct.
As the light flares up, you can see that Maisel has these dark, sunken eyes that are very clearly fey. They have no pupils. They are just a pale brown the whole way through, and the firelight dances in them almost like kind of dancing against like a black void background.
Hey, we don't have to go back to the Shadowfell. It's gonna be okay. All right. Do you want to come with us?
No. Maisel suffers
No?
everywhere. Leave Maisel to suffer alone.
Hey, sometimes it's better to lean on others when suffering. Then the burden becomes less so. The burden of suffering can be a very heavy one alone.
Maisel is cursed to suffer.
Then let others help you.
No.
Okay, I won't force it. Through the broom. Get a load of this guy. No. Man, I don't know. Does anybody know anything about the Shadowfell? I don't know anything except nightmares and children's stories.
I don't even know what he's talking about with creatures coming out of sewers after tower fell. Like, I know the tower. You guys told me
Well-
the tower fell.
We heard reports that some sort of like cult thing came out of the sewers, but I don't know much about it.
What this seems to be implying is that the aboleth is in control of people that the aboleth has enslaved. Maybe are occupying the sewers beneath Stainless, and they were able to basically hide the body of the aboleth after the tower fell, and perhaps to perform some sort of ritual on it, due to the praise the dead fish things that Maisel was saying. But I guess this Maisel creature, while it seems to be providing some sort of open-ended information that might be helpful to us, I don't know if it's worth the time taken to interrogate it and make
That's
answers
why-
from it.
To be fair, I was hoping to convince him to, or it. I don't know. Maisel sounds like a male-ish name. I don't want to.
Sure.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah?
Could I roll Arcana to know if this is an actual curse or if it's just a belief of him being cursed?
You do not need to roll Arcana for that. Zoth
Okay.
has seen his share of curses. This is a powerful curse, but it's a curse in its genetic code. This is the kind of curse where, I'll give you the players.
Your,
the top
your
level of the lore
grandchildren's
here.
children and their children
Yeah,
and their
exactly.
grandchildren.
One of the ruling powers in the Fae was displeased by someone and cursed their entire race, and this is
Okay.
the results of that behavior, basically.
Well, it's a good thing you've got experience breaking blood curses.
Would I know if the spell remove curse would
It would
work?
not.
Okay.
Maisel, do you know of the dragon?
Scary rumbling. Scary rumbling under the ground. Echoes around. Terrible sound. Terrible sound.
How long have you been here, Maisel?
I don't remember the canonical value off the top of my head, so rather than making it up, however long it's been since the tower fell in Stainless.
Okay.
That's the detail you'd be connecting anyway.
Sure.
So it's been however long that was.
Okay.
Driven away, driven away, driven away. Mean lady and friends. Bow to the fish, bow to the fish. Splish, splash, acid bath.
Okay, it's okay.
Terrible sound. New voices in Maisel's head. Promises.
Do you
Maisel knows better than promises.
still hear those voices in your head, Maisel?
No. Just the normal ones.
Of course. Of course, the normal ones.
The usual.
I touched the broom. Broomstein, would you mind reaching out to his mind? Maybe don't say anything, but just listen and tell me if you hear anything that we're not hearing.
That's a cool idea. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
That's pretty good.
For those of you listening at home, there was a dice just rolled publicly for the table to see.
It was a 16 on the die for those listening at home.
And for those listening at home, this is the third time that the dice has been announced with a total of 16 with a 0 modifier for the broom, bringing the total to 16.
16.
Just kidding. What I'll do is, so there are no other voices besides the normal voices in its head, which is to say that
Okay.
it's kind of a creature cursed to suffer. But the broom did a pretty good job, and this is a creative idea. So what I'm going to do is I will read you its gibberish interpretation of what's happened to it in plain text, so that you can have a chance to kind of decipher it a little bit better. Basically, the broom is just transcribing for you what it hears, right?
Sure.
So, there was some triggering event. We've identified that as the collapse of the tower. They dragged the body of a dead fish. Splish, splash, acid bath, and black sparks. Whispers and chanting, bow to the dead fish. Splish, splash, 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 circles and symbols and holes in the ground. Holes in the ground. Whispers, chanting, a terrible sound. Dust, dark dust, fish gone. Hole in the ground, hole in the ground. Suddenly silence. Whips in the hole, teeth in the hole, fish in the hole. Voices in my mind in an argument with a new voice. Flee, they tell me, flee. But I am curious. New voice is making promises. It says all is made ready for just in case. Protect this place, protect this place. New voice promises rewards, but Maisel scorns rewards. I know my fate is seaweed, cruft and seaweed at the bottom of a salt lake, and I a freshwater drinker. Flee from the liar and into the wilderness, stones, bones, and rain. Flee from the slaver who lies in my brain, for I am already enslaved. Into the caves, suffer alone in the dark. Even here, where I thought she couldn't see me, the Seelie Queen's shadow fell over my heart.
Bruh.
That was a cool. I want to call it a poem.
Thank you.
Guys, that was honestly like slam poetry. All you have to do is just like put weird emphasis on random words and then just be
Let me
like,
get my bongos.
Yeah, but if you do it
Do-
with vocal
da-
fry, then it's the gibberish
do-
of a haunted
da-
mind.
This is true.
Ooh.
That also sounds like a lyric from the poem. I do. it's it's one of those things where I appreciate this is an interesting happenstance of fate that we've run into this creature, and I think it's telling us a lot of interesting things, but it's a lot of interesting things that we sort of already knew.
I don't know. It sounds like they talking about that reports that we heard of the sewer cult about they worship death, if I remember correctly when we were there. And it sounds like they got their hands on an aboleth and did something with it. I don't think we knew that. Exactly. But still,
I do not like the idea of us fighting an undead aboleth.
well, that's the thing. I don't
think
know
you
if
might
it's
be right
something
about
we
that.
need to worry about it in the sense that, like, I don't think it's related to what we're doing now, but
I would say there's a sense of like, what can we do? You know what I mean? It's good that we know, but my thought is personally, we've
Maisel?
communed with this creature and now it's time to move on, but with the knowledge that we have.
I agree.
Yes.
Maisel,
Yes.
do you like the fire?
Yes.
We can give you a light and warmth. I know you want to suffer alone, but maybe just come with us and you don't have to be with us physically, but follow us.
You can suffer alone with us.
Which way do you go?
We're gonna go deeper.
Down?
We're going down.
No. Loud rumbles, roars, wind. Wings go.
Then stay behind us. Stay behind us. Far behind us. Sorry, go ahead,
Is
Jeb.
down the place that you needed to protect?
No.
The place that was prepared?
No. Protect that place. Protect that place underneath pointy stone obelisk. There.
Under what
Under
we
the
call
tower.
the tower. Okay.
Water.
Maisel.
Yes.
I don't know if we're gonna come back this way, but if we do you want to come back to the surface?
No. Maisel has found a place to suffer alone. Maisel will suffer alone.
Okay. I'm gonna leave the rest of my land shark meat
Sure.
and
Oh.
encourage the others to do the same.
Oh, yeah, Zop will 100% leave his land shark meat.
Great.
I leave also half of my kindling kit.
Cool. Yeah.
Which half?
The unused half.
time-
the desserts.
Yeah, yeah, they used half. Yeah.
Yeah, you leave your kindling kit. That's fine. You take care of all that stuff, and you head out. Beyond Maisel, you spend a while going down. It is a gently sloping straight line almost. And after an indeterminate amount of travel time, though you're confident you've not reached the end of the day, it's perhaps late afternoon as far as your body's clocks feel, something interesting appears in the ground. There is a thin channel of gold that glistens in the torchlight, like a tiny river guiding you. The cave floors are rough stone, but here they have been swept clean. And as the miles go by, you begin to see great murals of like exotic dyes that have been painted on the walls of this cave. Yeah?
But when we saw the gold seams start,
Mhm.
Fox will bend down with one of his daggers and just like try to chisel at it, see if it's really gold and really as soft and pliable as pure gold would be, or if it's more of a ore or alloy.
Okay. It is real gold. Are you like prying up some of it for you, or are you like were you just checking?
I'm checking, and I was gonna pry some up.
If Alan
But
sees
then I thought about
that,
it.
that starting to happen, Alan's going to say, I believe that this is technically part of the Gold Dragon's hoard. I would not
You know-
want to do that if I were you.
Alan, I was thinking about that just as I was checking, and you know what? I think you're right.
Good.
Put it.
We want to make a good first impression.
Good first impression.
And we don't want to walk into the dragon's lair with some of
We're
the
going to
dragon's
rewind
gold.
90 seconds and leave the real gameplay exposition for the monologue in Josh's head, where he thought to himself, "Wow, they got past all of the encounters in this cavern without having to fight any of the intelligent creatures." And then 10 seconds later, Fox is like, "I'm going to dig up the gold in the ground." Like, well,
I'm gonna wipe my dagger back on the spot where I chipped at it, and I'm like, that's real gold, and that's all I care about now that I think about it. And I put the dagger away.
excellent. As the miles quietly pass you by and you continue your journey, it's about 10 miles of walking travel before the next thing happens. Over those 10 miles, zoom us into either the conversation or your private thoughts. What's happening in your minds as you approach this lair of Kavorre?
So, Kavorre, right, guys? Like, is this gonna go just as well as the last dragon?
Well, I hope, or it is my hope, that Kavorre is easier to talk to than what you all described the experience with Thraxenhau as. But I guess if Thraxenhau was a challenge to communicate with or to win over, then I think we can.
I mean,
I say we. I'm not the charismatic one, but we, the royal we, can handle it.
Well, Jeb, Thraxenhau came around, right? And he was fairly stubborn. So, sorry, the dust kicked up in this cave is.
Sneeze echoes.
Well, you should stop sweeping in front of you when we walk.
Well, how else am I going to be able to detect things within a 30 shin radius?
Well, I mean, take your pick. I mean, Thraxenhau. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I was just standing there peeing my pants. So don't ask me like what exactly happened. I just remember being in there. And then all of a sudden we were out and you were like, "Hey, I did it."
All right. Well, in that case, Thraxenhau is very territorial, and I imagine as this dragon's probably older, should we just not like occasionally just announce that we're entering, just to be polite?
Well, before you say anything, let me put some eagle eyes on you first. So just like let me know before you get in there.
I was honestly about to say it right then and there just to punctuate the point. But now that you've given me some thought, it probably would help that I could actually see where I'm going.
Well, I meant like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Hello! We are entering!
I said wait before. Tell me before you were gonna do it. I literally just said that, and you were like, "Oh, glad
Sorry,
I didn't just do the thing that I did right now." And before anything happens, Jeb's gonna cast enhance ability.
I was insinuating that I was doing it just now.
It only lasts an hour. Eagle Splendor. You have an advantage on charisma checks for the next hour.
We're entering a domain, and we're just trying to make sure. Please stop us if we're trespassing. And if no response happens within the first minute, I'll just keep reiterating that every 10 minutes.
Okay.
As we walk.
Great. As the miles pass by, with Fox now sounding your presence every 10 minutes or so, you notice something strange in the path you're following. You notice that it begins to slope up, and it leads up. I mean, you have no idea how deep underground you are at this point. You've been twisting and turning and in the caves for so long. Who knows? But it does seem like you're climbing in altitude. And Jeb, unfortunately for you, it is just before the satisfying ear pop when you're going down. You know how you get that satisfying extra pressure. You don't get that on this journey.
I was about to say everybody yawn, get that ear pop, but then you literally just
as someone who is native to the underground, Does it feel like we are above surface level, but in the mountain at this point?
Oh yeah. You are
Mm.
in the mountain, but you are not like you haven't even breached the material plane's normal level, much less headed towards the Underdark. There are occasional forks off of the path that slope down or up or whatever, but none of them have the gold inlaid in it. So it seems pretty logical that you would stay on the gold path.
That's what the DM would have us think, and that's why I'm gonna take the first. No, sorry, go
You
on.
can.
We'll follow the yellow striped wall.
yeah,
That's
we'll
right.
follow the yellow, gold, or road.
Cool. Yeah, so this little thin, crack of gold kind of winding away from you, you just follow it. And as you reach the end of your climb, you see up ahead of you the wall, the tunnel ends. It almost dead ends. There's a cap at the end of the tunnel with like a really thin crack in it. So your torchlight can kind of illuminate that like there's a little crack here, but it's so thin that you would need to like squeeze through sideways one at a time. And it's long enough that the torchlight doesn't reach through it to the other end. So you're just like, there's a little thin something here. At that point, Fox, you yell out your announcement thing that you've been doing.
Right.
And you still don't get a reply.
All right, guys. This clearly looks like the end of the road for, the road. This might be like, I don't know, a front door? Or we might be busting into the equivalent of a cupboard. Do you think we should, knock? I'm thinking knocking.
I feel like your
sounds as-
announcements have been knocking enough.
While I agree, this is an ancient dragon.
There may be some sort of procedure that we're expected to follow, so I wouldn't think knocking is a bad idea.
Go for it.
All right. I knock on the crack, for lack of a better term, forcibly as I can, because I realize that it's not hollow rock I'm probably knocking on. And so I'm like, I'm as I thump on the rock.
Yeah.
Announcing my entrance.
You smell death as you get to the crack. The smell coming out of the crack is like decay and death. From this close, you have dark vision. So, like any of the other characters with dark vision, if you kind of put your eye up to the crack and look down there, you can see kind of one large, grayish mass in there. You are not sure what it is. It doesn't seem to be moving. And you think you maybe hear a faint rushing sound, like a river rapid, but heavily muted, as though it's off far away somewhere in the distance.
Guys, I think there's a dead body in there.
Dead
Sorry.
large grayish mass. That does not bode well to me. That sounds a bit like dead aboleth.
All right.
Do you think the dragon killed an aboleth?
Wait.
Not
Let me
sure.
hold my breath and get a closer look.
Unless it's an undead
Fox.
aboleth from the sewer.
Which
Fox
is
holds
not
his
what we
breath
want
and
either.
just starts crawling into the hole just to get a closer look.
Sure.
What about the dragon, Jeb?
Fox, roll a Constitution save.
Oh,
I'm going to cast air bubble on Fox before he goes in.
Okay.
So his head is surrounded by a bubble of fresh air.
Great. You need to roll a Constitution save. Fox,
Thank
can
you.
breathe okay. It also masks the smell, so you won't get any indication as far as,
Sure.
It makes it a little harder to perceive in that way. You crawl through, and when you get to the other side, you can now make out that this is a pile of dead bodies. It is not one large dead body. They are dead wildlife, such as rote, goats, sheep, etc. That have been kind of piled in this room.
I kind of speak back through the crack this information, but just loud enough that I think they can hear it, but not loud enough. I don't know. I don't know if any of you have been caving in real life, but I will know that when you're in caves with very rough surfaces, you have to yell really loud in order for the sound waves to actually get to the other side.
Yeah.
So I'm probably yelling louder on wherever side I'm in.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey guys, it's a pile of dead bodies, not one.
That's
Fox, the room you're in has no other entrances or exits that are immediately visible. However, the creatures that are piled up in here are too big to get through the crack.
I look at the
Deb's
ceiling.
gonna follow.
Okay.
Is
Does
there
Jeb
anything
have
at
air
the
bubble
ceiling?
too? Do we all
Sorry,
have air
but-
bubble? Do we all have
No,
air
just-
bubble?
I'm just
No.
breathing through my mouth.
Oh.
I'm just breathing through my mouth.
Roll a con save.
Josh,
Yeah.
can I tear a little bit of fabric off of my sleeve and then just stick it in my nose as like makeshift plugs?
Yeah, you can roll your con save at advantage doing that.
Heck yeah. And then I will proceed through.
Great.
Rolls nat one. Rolls nat one.
I rolled an 8 total. Not that great.
You are the equivalent of 2 layers of exhaustion for as long as you're in the smell. So it's not exhaustion, but it's the disadvantage on skill checks. And it's just like so overpowering, basically. It's like just waves of nausea.
I got
Okay,
an 11.
I'm going to stumble and like trip over my feet and just like clamber towards Fox.
Are
just,
you
like,
okay, Jeb?
Scrabble and scratching like up his leg until
I
I
know it
get his
smelled
cheek
bad.
right next to my cheek, and I'm just like,
Is it that bad?
it's really bad.
Anyway, I
It's
support
really
his weight a
bad.
little bit. Try to hold him up to the air bubble so he's not like clawing
Can
into
I
my
please?
skin.
Can I please sit on your neck again?
Yeah,
Please,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
let me.
Here, let me just hold your breath for a second, because repositioning might take you out of the air bubble.
Boop.
All right, and I put him like so that way he's like head above head, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
This is funny, so it's gonna work because of rule of cool. But just to be clear, this does not canonically establish that you can share your air bubble in the future. Like that's not how the
No, of
spell
course.
works. But I think this
Sure.
is fun, so it's gonna happen tonight.
Alan is going to also tear off a piece of his. Well, no, he doesn't have much clothing to
I was
tear.
gonna say, what's he
Clothing to tear.
tearing off? His briefs?
oh.
Alan,
Yikes.
Zoth,
Well-
I'd be
well-
careful coming in here. Jeb looked like a corpse coming through. It's really bad.
It's true.
He's gonna.
It's really bad.
He's gonna take a. So this is. He's gonna take a string out of his boot.
I'm gonna be honest, guys.
going
This might be
to-
a toilet. I don't know if it's worth coming this way.
He's going to tie that string kind of around his face, just underneath his nose, and he's going to use his tinkering tools to make it continually emit an odor. Which the odor being like something nice, like fresh roses or something like that. So that's directly underneath his nose.
Going
And
for the
Alan may
plague
also roll at
doctor route.
advantage.
Mhm.
okay.
Zoth got an 11.
Okay. Zoth, you are the same as Jeb. You have the effects of 2 layers of exhaustion for as long as you're in the smell.
Hey,
Alan got a 12.
Owlin, you are the same as Zoth and Jeb. You
Dang
have
it.
the effects of 2 layers of
Oof.
exhaustion for as long as you're in the smell.
I was about to say plague doctor works every time, but evidently it doesn't.
I'm gonna.
It's about 4 minutes of like kind of squirming to get through the crack, so it's not like super
Oh.
duper long.
That's-
Yeah, I'm gonna look up in here with my 120 feet of dark vision. Are we at the bottom of like a chewed up food pit?
No, there is a ceiling. It is only 15 feet above you.
Ooh.
Kavorre!
You hear
Wait.
and feel the ground begin to rumble with a.
We come to seek your guidance.
Do I recognize that tremor?
No, it's a walking dragon.
Okay.
What have we here? The voice kind of reverberates through the cave from all around. And then you hear just the massive sound of a huge boulder scraping as one of the walls is rolled aside. What are you doing in there? You look up, and in front of you is a gold dragon.
I quickly turn to my compatriots. Okay, guys, is it okay if I just kind of just to stop me if I say anything wrong? But I'm gonna try handling this. Is that all right?
Alan is like keeled over with his arm in front of his mouth and just gives a thumbs up.
Okay.
Jeb, like with his cheek next to your cheek and his nose almost poking out a little bit in front of your face, is like, yes, and don't forget you have advantage on charisma checks because of Eagle's splendor.
Of course.
You turn back towards Kavorre, who is easily 60 feet tall, with frills drooping like whiskers from her angular jaw and large sail-like wings that span the whole way from the top of her shoulders to the tip of her spiked tail. Her eyes are like molten gold, just single pools of gold that kind of swims and shimmers in the light. And her scales are like dark stone with veins of golden ore traced through it, just like you saw in the base of the tunnel as you walked here. And it ripples and reflects in strange ways as, her body moves. She
Follow
looks
my
towards
lead.
you. She leans her head in real close and she says, "Why did you come in this entrance?"
I bow down on one knee.
Okay.
Everybody follow my lead.
Bow.
You all bow
Yeah.
down, bringing you closer to the dead things and the overwhelming smell.
Sorry, that's not you. Your grace. It's the smell.
Sorry. I have air bubble around my face. We may have came in the wrong way. We have never visited before, and we just followed the gold vein, and it appears to have arrived in an unfortunate place. If you're willing, may we exit this particular chamber and see you properly?
I appreciate the respect, and you must be bold to attempt this method of entry into my home.
To be fair, Your Grace, we must be bold in these times, and I can explain why.
I enjoyed your declarations of presence. They amused me. Yes, you may enter. And the head and the long neck kind of recede from the opening of the den, and you walk into Kavorre's home. As you step out of what is effectively the pantry, Kavorre rolls the boulder back over it, and then whoosh, her wings flap out to their full wingspan of like 170 feet to either side of her. And with one massive flap of her wings, she blows the smell away. And those of you who are suffering from it are no longer suffering. And you're able to breathe. You are
Fresh
standing
roses.
in a massive hall, essentially, like a great receiving hall where a king or a queen might have a throne and, a few sentries or statues or ornaments, something like that. Kavorre instead has a massive tapestry, circular tapestry that spans the entire, this room must be 600 or 700 feet across. And it is lit by iridescent stones. The stones are a mixture of colors so that they kind of blend into, it's almost like looking through a prism where it's just different colors kind of sparkling all around you, gemstones embedded in the walls and things like that. And then the tapestry is black so that the reflection of the gemstones off of it looks like a field of brightly multicolored stars. And Kavorre just walks over, curls up on one end of the tapestry and sits very attentively and just waits for you.
I bow yet again. This visage, this hall, is one so grand I have never seen before, and very befitting of one of your stature.
Thank you. I spent a long time curating it. Perhaps you've not seen my trophies. And Kavorre, just her head and her neck kind of swivel a little bit, pointing you in the direction of her trophy room, which is another kind of cave area that is offset from this great hall. And you can see kind of glittering inside it all manner of interesting. So remember we talked about how the Manticore had like random knickknacks? This is the exact opposite of that. These are all things of great consequence. They're masterwork weapons that are probably important enough to have names. They're giant creations of artifice from the ancient Hemetetian era. They're, all kinds of different things that are just like, inlaid and arranged like a strange china cabinet with, shelves of stone to display the different things and just floor to ceiling. And next to that is another pantry with a big boulder in front of it. But that one has a gem set into the door of the pantry. Would you like anything to eat? Kavorre rolls that door aside, and you can see that Kavorre mostly eats gems. And so it's a bunch of like rare earth minerals and stuff that are in there. Kavorre pulls out an opal that's the size of Fox and just tosses it in the air with a claw, catches it. Delicious.
We would never impede upon you for such things. Today,
Very well.
I could go for a ruby. I'm a little peckish.
Roll a wisdom save. The DC is 25.
I was mostly joking. Just trying to lighten
you
the
see
mood.
Kavorre grab the ruby, and you're like, no, it was the joke.
All right. Well, okay. Wait. Do you mean you were joking to me, the GM, or you said the joke out loud as Jeb? Because there are rules
No, I said
about
the- I
lying
said
in
the
presence
joke.
of a gold dragon. Okay.
Yeah, I said the joke out loud to.
Yeah. Roll a
It's,
charisma
you know, it's-
check
it's
with a
silly.
DC of 25.
TC of 25.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's not anywhere near that. He wasn't trying to lie. He was just trying to be like, haha, silly me. I would probably just lick the ruby. Like I don't need rubies.
Oh, he wasn't trying to sneak some spell components?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Never mind then. That's fine. There are rules about detecting any deception, so that's why I was like, even if you were just trying to like, oh, a spell component or whatever, like that would have
Sure.
consequences. If it isn't the consequences of my decisions.
How could this happen to me?
Kavorre closes the pantry back up with her spiked tail. She's still just seated on the tapestry in front of you, and she says, "So, explain."
I'm going to tell you the short story, and if it intrigues you, maybe the long story. Is that okay?
I will allow it.
The short story is we have on call the avatars of most of the gods, at least those we were able to acquire before they were hunted down.
You are their
And
emissaries?
I looked back
Alan
at Deb
nods.
or Alan, like, is that the right word for that?
Alan nods. Yes.
Okay, yes. Sorry, my vocabulary is
Which
not the best.
ones? And what do they want this time?
Well, we have Kay, who was our most recent acquirement. Acquirement is the wrong word, I guess. It makes it sound like items.
Association.
Association. We also have
Garlel.
Garlel. Thank you. My mind is racing. No
And
offense,
Laredith.
rephrased. Laredith as well. But
And
being in your
Sidonia.
presence is causing
Yep.
me to be very nervous. I've never been in the presence of someone so wise and powerful, and it's a little overwhelming for me.
Yes,
Immortal.
I have that effect on mortals. Try to see through it.
And
She's much more impressive than Kavorre. I'm sorry, not Kavorre. I'm getting mixed up.
What did
Who's
you say?
No. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Thraxenhow. I believe you're talking about Thraxenhow.
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
Although that's true. Kyvan. It was another K word.
Ivan,
Yeah.
Yes.
Much more
we,
impressive than Kyvan.
we've met quite a few people along our travels.
but we also have the. Although Dew Bumblefoot was sadly killed by the forces of the Aboleths, which you may be aware of their presence now in these parts. Although Dew Bumblefoot was killed, we have Dew Bumblefoot's blessing on this mission as well.
We're trying to perform the ritual of cataclysm in order to try to save the world from the powers and forces of aboleths that have infected the realm, not just of the immediate area, but all over the continent, the
World,
world, if I even exactly. It's becoming quite the present issue for us mortals. And we've been told that in order to perform this ritual, we have to do it within your domain. And I humbly request the permission to do so. And while I'm not sure if it's a pressing matter for you, I can tell you it is a very pressing matter for not just us, but all mortals free of the Aboleth's control. I await her response.
She just looks at you.
This is a lot, I'll admit, for just us four. The areas around this mountain have been patrolled, and so we don't bring the avatars with us right now. We were afraid that should other forces see what we're doing, we'd be on a timer. So we thought best to wait. When you require it, or should you ask of it, we can call the avatars down. But I will say that we'll call upon armies that we think would be best not called upon on our position. Armies of the Aboleth. We don't really have a way to communicate that wouldn't sound an alarm. But we do have those who haven't been slain yet in our possession, and we would bring them here at the soonest convenience to perform this ritual. I've been through a lot. Sorry, I'm going to speak very candidly. I started life adventuring just really for the thrill of it, and I've really found myself in a whole lot deeper than I thought I ever would. When a god contacted me through my mind and through my dreams, I wasn't really there to believe it. And now I find myself on the behalf of the gods and the avatars trying to commit a ritual to rid the world of Aboleths in order to save this era. And I'm really out of my depths. I just had to talk my way past the Sphinx. I'm not sure if you knew you had a Sphinx on your doorstep, by the way.
Manticore.
Not Sphinx, Manticore. Sorry, I'm getting mythological creatures. I'm a little overwhelmed, and I'm just really hoping that you would see the fact that from your perspective, a weak mortal in front of you has come a lot farther than they ever dreamed of, or ever wanted to, really. And it's just trying to do their best for the realm.
What Fox is saying is that we've come a long ways, and although we have come a long ways, and
Kavorre turns her head away from you and extends her long serpentine neck into another room and around a corner. Like she's just long enough that she can reach stuff that way. And when she returns, clutched in her teeth is a massive bowl of solid gold that is filled with water. She sits it down in front of Fox. She says, "You look like you could use a drink."
I appreciate that. Fox, overwhelmed as if though the troubles and anxiety of everything has come to a head, just kind of collapses next to the bowl and takes a cup from his hands and drinks some of the water.
You gain the effect of a long rest.
Oh.
Her forked tail, or her spiked tail, I should say, swings around and slides the bowl towards the rest of you.
I will follow suit.
So I'll drink.
You
I'll
all gain
drink
the
as well.
effects of a long
Yeah.
rest.
You are very
often
kind.
Feel that a matter is pressing because mortals are limited in scope. Their view of the world lasts a mere century, perhaps less. I have been here since the Hemeticians went to war with the Drow. I was here when a plague forced the Hemeticians out of their home, created the Darude. I was there when the A2 marched on Rust-Free, at Larodith's command, by the way, and without cleaning up the garbage they left behind in my mountains.
I am
Life
sorry about that.
carries on. I have intervened thrice in the history of the world. And you know what? Each time, my intervention was unnecessary, perhaps even made things worse. Wisdom is not using your power to shape the world. Wisdom is knowing when not to.
I'm going to be honest, Kavorre. I'm not. What we request of you is not for you to act on our behalf. Honestly, that would be a little imposing and above our reach to ask. All I'm asking is that you would ordain the avatars and some others to enter your domain to perform a ritual. I ask this because I know this is your domain and none shall enter without your permission.
Indeed. If you have recently tried, and you look over in the corner where she has stacked up on stalactites like pikes 3 private security goons.
I will say in terms of mortals, the thing with our lifespan and our perspectives is while yes, there are things that are well beyond our scope, and things will always seem pressing to us. I cannot avoid that.
How
That is
can
our
you
perspective.
prove that you speak on behalf of Garlel, for whom I have much fonder affection than Larodith, who leaves spaces dirty when she travels through them?
Would you mind giving me a second to converse with our compatriots here? Because I feel like some others would have a better way of convincing you than I would.
You may converse.
All right, team huddle.
As you
All right,
team
guys.
huddle, you feel something arcane wash over you.
All right, let's all be straight and let's be fair that no matter what we say in this circle, even in our minds, it's probably being listened to.
Yeah.
Not that it would probably, honestly, anything we could say would probably be in our favor, but let's not missay anything.
Make a
true.
charisma save.
Make a charisma save?
Yep.
With advantage because of Eagle's splendor.
Me or everyone?
I think that's just Fox, right?
Okay.
But is
Just
everyone
double
making the
checking.
save?
Yes, everybody makes the save.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Alan
That's what I
has
was asking.
17.
Okay.
Just
Just has an
charisma.
11.
Okay.
Not at 20.
10.
Okay. All of you are aware that you are under the effect of a zone of truth spell. And none of you passed your save, which means that you cannot deliberately speak a lie, but you know that the spell is affecting you, and you are able to speak evasively if you want to, as long as you remain within the boundaries.
Well, if we're aware of it, Alan will just turn towards Kavorre and say, Garlel is currently on our ship, the vessel that we used to reach here, along with the rest of the avatars that we spoke to. And Garlel and the rest of the avatars and the rest of our crew are awaiting our signal to get here and perform the
And-
ritual.
To be clear, this is of their own free volition.
This is of their own free will. Garlel is in full support of our plan. In fact, he was the first avatar that we encountered who actually gave us key information in order to accomplish this plan. And most of the plan was clarified and put into crystalline form in our minds due to his explanations and his guidance.
Hey, to be fair, the hardest one we had to convince of this was the youngest, Kay.
That is true.
A clever attempt to prove your position. Wise in interpreting the spell, and quick-witted in using it to make your case. A point to you. And Kavorre just kind of nods her head. It's not a bow. Kind of nods her head a little bit towards Alan in a sign of respect. I enjoy treating with the wise and the intelligent. You wish
Alan
for
will
me
kind
to
of tap
take
the
you-
rod of intelligence and kind of do a little nod towards it. Sorry, go ahead.
I bow, and you know what? Yeah, pointing at Owlin, I'm like, if you prefer to converse, I believe Owlin is our most intellectual companion here. As you can
I
see,
like you too. You've got spirit.
Fox smiles a little bit at that. You know, can't help the compliment. We all are carriers of a rod of power.
Indeed. And on such a day as this, 4 mortals have brought 4 legendary items into my... Wait, no, I guess 3.
3.
3 legendary items into my presence. Well, perhaps 4. She looks down at Alan's artificing weapon that he's made. Then she kind of reaches her head back up again. And yet, I have to wonder, would the world be safer without those? You wish for me to take you to a place that I was told in no uncertain terms, and I keep my oaths, to assist none but the avatars in locating again.
Well, I would like to press this information again, that once we call them, there will be a timer. And while maybe not a problem for you, will be a problem for the avatars and us.
Oh, it will pose a problem for me, for I am sheltering many in my domain. You entered, strangely enough, through the lower section of my territory, but had you come from the top of the mountains, you would have seen that a number of escapees and refugees have fled into my care. Your ambition of drawing an army here, casting unproven magic, and in general effing around and finding out with the fabric of reality is presenting a strange dichotomy. For on one hand, I respect mortals who are willing to influence the course of history themselves. You have not asked me to intervene on your behalf. You've merely asked me to let you continue. However, I keep my oaths, and I have given my oath that none shall harm another creature within my territory.
Then maybe this might be a little forward of me, and please stop me and correct me if it is. But should you let us continue, if we are able to change the course and remove the Aboleth's influence, would it be so bold of me to assume that you would be willing to defend those within your domain as we complete the ritual? I do preface that I am asking as it a question, and I in no ways am inferring that that is something that you should do given what we're asking you of, right? We're asking for permission to do something that will bring harm and armies here. And I'm asking in a roundabout way if you'd be willing to let us do that for what we perceive as the greater good. Perhaps that was overreaching. Please tell me if that's overreaching.
The greater good is a difficult thing to judge, for the scales of fate are not so easily outmaneuvered. And you can see that there is a small model of the scale of stars, which you've been to. Underneath it, you found Dew Bumblefoot's dead body in her trophy room. She reaches back with her spiked tail and just balances it in the middle, and then brings her tail back to coil around her, as she's seated in front of you. Here is what I will do. We will take you to the appointed place. I will seal my territory from that area in a temporary fashion, so that when you are completed, I may restore my territory. And you will under no circumstances allow any attacking creature to enter that cave. This means that my lair will not be present for you as a fallback during your combat. It means that if during your activity you notice that they are demolitioning their way in, I expect you to prevent it.
Clarifying question. So you're saying that you would seal us into a room, but expect us to defend your realm from outsiders while we're sealed in a room?
The appointed place is open to the sky.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm understanding a little better. So, okay,
If
I turn
we
back.
were to signal to an airship, hypothetically, where we needed to go, would firing a sort of signal device into the sky from the appointed place easily signal to an airship visually?
Yes.
That is quite convenient and something I had
Okay.
not considered.
That's convenient, but I really don't want to make a promise we can't keep. So I turn back to my compatriots, and I do, and I'm like,
Well,
is this
the
something
way I
you
see
think we
it,
can
Fox,
keep?
either we succeed and nothing bad happens and we're heroes or whatever, or we die.
Okay,
And then it's not our problem.
yeah, but if we succeed and we have the wisest and most powerful dragon on our bad side, I don't like that.
Then
You
we
know-
die heroes.
That is, in a way, the way that I see it as well.
You know what? I might use that as an argument. Do you think?
Arguing, I wouldn't recommend.
No,
wouldn't argue.
no. As a lawyer argument, not a real argument. All right.
That is
I'm just saying,
completely up
like,
to you.
we don't
trust.
really have an option here.
Okay.
I agree.
Kavorre,
Yes.
the terms you present, I want to make you aware so that way I want you to make sure you're aware of our perspective. So that way you make the terms in such a way that you feel is fair. I want you to know that with our conviction, if we do succeed in this ritual, we may end up dying performing it.
Nearly certainly.
And should we not meet our end of the bargain, I am assured that you will probably be our end as well.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to prevent any kind of problems in this agreement. But as the agreement you have stated, we have a lot of incentive to push forward and to accept the fact that we will die, whether it be by your hand or the aboleth's. So I'm not sure if that is the incentive you were expecting in protecting your domain.
I'm going to be honest, with all due respect, Kavorre. I'm not in this to live.
We all took on this mission knowing we'd probably die in the end.
Kavorre,
I'm here for my daughter.
Kavorre leans her head down to look you in the eye, which with Jeb involves literally resting her angular chin on the ground, little frills, whiskers coming off, kind of like coiling around it. She leans towards you and she looks like deep into your eyes. So you're just staring into these kind of molten pools of gold almost. She says, "An interesting statement.
My name is Jebediah Peppermint, son of Erling Peppermint, son of Cole Peppermint, and I am here to ensure that the soul of my daughter can pass on. As it stands, when those of us mortals die, we are stuck in limbo. And so, as someone as magnificent and immortal as yourself has no need to struggle with death, our struggle with death in our brief flickering flames of life is now much more serious because we no longer pass on. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care what you do to me or what the aboleths do to me because I've already been through that once. All I care about is restoring the weave so that my daughter can pass on to the other side. That is all that matters to me.
He speaks the truth, as I'm sure you know.
A simultaneously selfish and selfless sentiment. You are a fascinating creature."
I am a parent.
She inhales deeply and exhales a little bit of gold dust, and the bullet hole in your hat is mended. She sits back up. She says, You raise fair points. Instead of preventing entrance to my lair, you will give me the next 12 hours, and you will assist me in the task of relocating my refugees to the deeper parts of my territory.
I
Then
nod my
more than
head.
happy.
to the place entrusted to me. It will be sunset, which means that those looking at the sky may see only the blinding sun instead of your flare.
I think that is more than worth it. For what we're asking of you is quite honestly a lot. I think others in our position might be narcissistic, might be selfish in thinking that their plight is more important than your domain. But honestly, someone as powerful and wise as you, even willing to give refuge to those seeking it, and asking merely, when we're asking for so much from you, that we help you in protecting those. I think others who would come to this and think you were selfish and or nearsighted perhaps wouldn't see the mercy and wisdom in your thought. And I'm a little astounded that you would be willing in the first place. And secondly, I'm happy to help those in refuge for you, and I'm really hoping that we can help protect them. I'm hoping that we can protect more than them.
My intention is that by moving them deeper into my territory, I can then seal many of the passageways and place myself between them and your battlefield. I will not intervene in your own fight, but I will keep my oath to my sheltered beings.
If
Kavorre?
Alan... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Kavorre, if I might ask a simple favor, and only you, as wise as you are, might be able to interpret it. Could I ask that maybe, if it came down to it, if the battle waged and it was close, if the weight of a feather might determine the balance of our world, and that's all it took, would you be willing to tip that scale?
Roll a persuasion check, and I will tell you the DC is insane.
With advantage because of Eagle's Splendor.
The DC is a 30. Did you
Okay.
nat 20?
No, I do want to say, thank God it's advantage.
That one.
It was,
Womp
in
womp.
fact, a nat 1 on the first roll. And you know what? I'm okay with this.
What is it?
It is a 25.
Hmm.
And you
What's
know
the
what?
dice?
It's a 10 on the die.
Okay.
And you know what? I
would like...
In
I
that-
give a knowing look. I give a knowing look to Jeb before I speak. That I'm worried that what I'm about to say will not make it.
And Jeb clutches the rod of luck
Yeah,
in
he
his
does.
hand, and he forces that to succeed
Yeah.
because he doesn't think like it's asking that much. Only if it's dire, and if a feather would affect the scale. And he understands that Kavorre is very wise and very knowledgeable, and probably very fair in her judgment as well.
Cool. Kavorre says, I will consider it. But you can see in her eyes the resolve that she's willing to aid if it really came down to it.
I immediately bow as low as I can, and the sign of respect and of that judgment.
This is a DM question.
Yeah.
For Alan's thought process. Kavorre mentioned that by the time they finish evacuating refugees or relocating refugees, that it would be sunset.
Yes.
Is that correct? Is there anything that Alan can think of that would make it? I mean, weighing the pros and cons, is there any more cons that Alan is unaware of besides just if we wait a little bit longer after sunset and Alan puts up the flare, then it's pretty much a guarantee that everyone sees it? Because the thought is like at sunset it's going to be hard to see the flare, but if you wait until after the sun sets, then anyone can see the flare.
Right. Effectively, like strategically speaking, it's probably better for you to do it at sunset because right now only one party knows to look for a flare.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if Kavorre was saying that would put us at a disadvantage if it was sunset, because then it's like there's a chance that our own party doesn't see it, but that's not what Kavorre was saying.
Kavorre wasn't saying whether it was good or bad. Kavorre was trying to give you all the information so that you wouldn't be biased into making a hasty decision.
Gotcha. Okay. Well then, cool. I just wanted to question what exactly Kavorre meant by that. So cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Then
let's go see some mortals. And Kavorre leads you through the great hall of her kind of temple or domain, her territory. You reach a large vertically sloping, or I guess upward sloping stretch of cave that has clearly been hewn by her dragon followers and like turned into a staircase. But the staircase is still draconic sized. So for you, like each step is like, okay, I'm going to pull myself up and then I'm going to walk 10 feet and then I'm going to pull myself up and I'm going to walk 10 feet, you know. But you do make your way up the staircase. And at the top of it, you see a kind of like a large, the closest thing I can give you for scale is it looks like one of the hangars in a Star Wars starship, like a big long room with a huge wide opening on one side, and out of that opening you can see way off into the distance. You are at the northern end of the Kavorre Mountains. Stretching out in front of you is the massive plaza where the ruling council of Fladena would meet, and stretching out on the plains, like below that steep cliff drop, is like the city of Fladena, which has been mostly abandoned at this point. The dragons have all either joined the fight or gone off to do their own thing. But that's like where you are right now. This area behind that council chamber is filled with tents and little DIY wigwams and stuff like that for refugees to stay in. You can hear kind of the hustle and bustle of creatures moving around and talking, the flickering of fires, and you can also now see where all of Kavorre's dragon followers are, which for a dragon this ancient and legendary to not have anyone attending her would be wild. But they are all up here, tending to the needs of the refugees, and you can see them all demarcated by a single golden dragon scale from Kavorre, that kind of black stone texture with the ripples of gold through it that they wear almost like a backpack, where it's kind of strapped to their back, and otherwise they have on just like generic plain clothes. But they are cleaning, cooking, sweeping the ground. You know, when a child starts crying, they go over and comfort it or play with it. They're making sure that everyone has enough food, just generally taking care of the refugees. As you are looking towards the refugee camp, you hear a familiar voice go, "Oh, hey guys, what's up?" And there, tossing a ruby in her hand, is Elaine Mollusk next to a huge pile of tools and spread out artifice and all kinds of things, among which you see a large, it's cipher truck sized, but it's a tank with a big old cannon on the top of it. And on that note, tonight's Dungeons & Dragons session comes to a close.
You're gonna be like, yo, there's a cipher tank. And anyway, goodbye.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it to him. Thanks for hanging out with us, chat. Thanks for hanging out with us, players. How we feeling right now?
Pretty cool.
That was fun.
Psyched up. Hyped up.
I am psyched. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little struggling on. We have like another session in between now and the finale, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering what that
Civilian
happened.
evacuation.
We're doing
yeah.
evacuation. Right. We're catching up with Elaine Mollusk and her.
True.
You've got to evacuate some folk and some other stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I just
might
hope
happen.
the tank has a really big boomy bopper. That's all.
Yeah, do you ever have one of those moments where you're playing a video game and then they give you something really big and powerful and you're like, that was so nice of them, and then you get to the next level and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I have a feeling that might happen.
Okay, I have a trick up my
Amazing.
sleeve.
Yeah.
I will say I was not expecting the conversation with the broom to last that long, and I apologize because it was all my doing.
It was so much fun, though. Just watching it play out and watching the incredulous looks on the other players' faces
I think-
get more and more apparent.
The funniest thing was that Josh probably did that to try and get us moving, and then it ended up delaying us more because you had to
Yes.
figure out how the broom worked.
I thought it was funny that our player interactions like literally felt like the first 3 sessions where we were in the caves and we were just like blabbering on about random stuff.
Come full circle.
And I was saying Alan's self-awareness of like, we're just delaying the fact that we're probably gonna die, but that's kind of okay.
Fine. I will say I was a lot more worried about, like, I don't know. I feel like the Manicore was a lot more dangerous. Not to say the dragon wasn't. The real danger with the dragon was, can we convince this dragon of a moment of their time without it just being like, you know what? You're just like a stain on my mattress. Like, get out of here. Like,
Yeah, the Manticore has a small pride, like a small creature's pride, which is much easier to offend than a large
It's a
pride.
Napoleon
You know,
complex.
like an
Yeah.
existential
Oh, yeah.
pride. And so the idea of like really offending Kavorre into killing you is almost ludicrous because it wouldn't even really be worth the fight. You know what I mean?
no.
Like,
And if you did so, that would be the impressive part.
yeah, that you're right. That would be the impressive part. There were like I have mapped out for myself. We can talk about this in the Ask the GM Anything if you care about them after the campaign ends.
We
But
do
I had
care.
mapped out the conditions under which both things would go very poorly for you and under which things would go very well for you. You didn't trigger either of them, but there are like certain topics that Kavorre feels very passionately about, and they didn't come up.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, good times.
Yeah,
Very good time.
definitely. I
right.
think it's funny that we're gonna leave the trolls or the ogres and the
Manticore.
Manticore just in the dust. Like we were like, hey, people are gonna have to come on through, and if you want to help us out, go for it. And they're just gonna be like, did they die? Like,
I was grinning the whole time to myself as you were having those conversations with them. I was like, "There's," I mean, it makes sense.
Alan was trying to think ahead.
Yeah, it makes sense that you would think it'd be underground because it's a like a lair or a den, but they just asked Kavorre to connect her territory to the important place.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna be honest. My spleen is killing me. I've had to use the bathroom for the longest time now, and I'm
You know
That's your bladder,
that's your
not your
bladder,
spleen.
right? Hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna end
Yeah,
the stream
that's-
here from all of us here at Wing Badger Gaming. GG's and GN.
Have a nice spleen.
And also during qualification. Just kidding.